both fairy tales, and they're both true, and they're both saying the same fucking thing with different language, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Joseph Campbell. I mean, they're just myths. Even our science is just a myth. It's a way to use abstract things to describe that which cannot be described, right? Be it stories about animals, animals and floods, or quarks and bosons. It's just, they're telling the same story, but one's using, well, here it is. And these people are saying, yeah, here it is too. Where I think religion screws up and loses their credibility in the way we think our consciousness is as a world today, is that they want to prove that the stories are literal. It's like, wow, not only is that retarded, but you're losing the power, because the power is in the myth. Do you see, like, the analogy, what it's the greater picture, the greater thing that it's pointing to? Not the literal translation of this thing, but you're not a believer if you say that, that Jesus didn't walk on water or rise from the dead.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, really, it doesn't matter if he did or didn't. The message of the story is resurrection. Resurrection, being born again, being completely deconstructed, even in the body, and coming back again. It's a law of nature to continuously evolve, to die and be born again. I do it all the time. I spoke about it when I tore my bicep. I killed that character. I was born again. That's a powerful message. That's a powerful principle of life, is death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. What does Jesus do? Dies and is reborn. Now, it's not the story that's powerful. Okay, all right, fine. His body came up and he was a zombie. Right? Okay, he came back to life. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is the principle of resurrection, of this cyclical nature of the universe, this dual. We say dualism because in order to understand unity, you have to understand two. In order to understand one, you have to understand two. In order to understand one, we have to understand two. So we use duality as a metaphor, as a myth, as a leaning on to understand unity. So it's all one thing, and if everybody's telling themselves stories to try to understand the one thing, but yet they get mad at each other for telling different stories, they're missing the whole point of the thing, which is unity. So let's stop this shit and unify. I mean, the unified theory of the world. I mean, the scientists say it, and the religions say it. There's only one God. I am one God. I am undivided. I am everything. I'm the world. I created the world, and I created me. You know what I'm saying? That's the myth of religion. It's no different than the unified theory of the universe in quantum physics. Some people will say quantum physics is a joke. You know why quantum physics is a joke? Because you can't figure it out with these symbols.
Exactly.
You can't. You have to tell stories about it. That's why the stories are actually more powerful, because they don't tell you, yes, this is true. The stories lead you on a journey to experience the truth, instead of writing it down on a board and saying E equals MC squared. That's about as far as it goes. Why is that so popular? That's as far as it goes. You don't need to know that much more.
You're talking about language, right? That guy, the deconstructionist, he works with language. He thinks that language is the thing that divides things up. If you say light and dark, or you say it's negative and positive, one word will lead to another word, and then those words are like so dead, because words are dead.
Right, they're just things,
right.
symbols.
Right, whereas the symbol, there's only one symbol for love, but love is such a dynamic thing. It's like it's always floating.
Right.
And love, the different people have a different definition of what love is. When you throw the word love out there, I'm using my definition in my imagery,
right.
past history. I'm throwing it in there, and then you try to match
prove
it, and you try to match it, and then you can never match what my love is.
Right.
And love is such a dynamic emotion. Every single time you feel it's different. There's only one word, and that word is dead, right?
Yeah.
So then, it's a lot of philosophers like Wittgenstein just he thinks like philosophy is all bullshit. All bullshit. As long as you're speaking it, it's all bullshit.
Right, because it's symbols.
Yeah, it's the moment you speak it, you're not going anywhere. You can't solve the problem with philosophy because as long as you're doing it with language, he uses logic. He's a very good mathematician, and he uses logic to show exactly what doesn't work with language. And he wrote those treaties, like just a couple of words, and he breaks down
that's it.
And then he's one of my favorite quote is what cannot be speak of must be.
Lao Tzu says, I'm trying to find it exactly, but he says, that which can be described
Right.
is not the Tao.
Yeah, exactly.
The
That's
Tao,
it,
the
yeah.
Tao that can be described is not the true Tao.
I know that as well. I know that cool. And because I said what cannot be speak of must be passed over in silence. He just leave it. Yeah. And
Leave it alone.
yeah, he use other things to represent it. You know, maybe art or music or.
They're all inferring.
Infer, but he says language is this one of the most confusing way to.
It's the worst one.
It's the worst one. Yeah. Because
Music,
the language, music,
and arts
and stuff like that, or even movements and things like that.
Movement.
Yeah, and even emotions, and when you try to lock it down with words, you can never get. It's like a matrix. It's like a veil that.
Right. It's a construct.
Yeah, but at the same time, you need that construct. So it's like a double-sided
Yes,
sword. It's like a window that you can look out through in a cave. But then that's the only window there is. So all you can see is the cave. There's nothing on the cave. It's like if the window on the cave is purple, it's broken, which everyone has a slight different window, and every species has a different window.
Yes.
How are you going to see the world? But at the same, that's the only thing you can go with is that little window.
And then you try to describe it.
Yeah, with itself.
Right.
So it's
and then you try to say it's truth.
Yeah, and other people.
And what about those other people?
So that's the window I'm seeing. Can't you see that? And then you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And then different people, and it's like and it's simply you have nothing to use but itself.
Yeah.
So you're using that window to try to break that window apart, and which is
You know what I think is powerful about what we're doing and what we do when we speak about what we see through our window? Is that we give people permission to accept what they already see through their window.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people are seeing, but because I got a big mouth and you have a big mouth and I talk about it, they look out their window and say, I knew that was always there.
Yeah.
I knew that was always there. Thank you. And all I'm doing is basically saying, hey, you're allowed to see that shit.
Right.
And then when they see it, they're so grateful to me because it's like, wow, Ellie, you opened my eyes. It's really the main thing. I'm opening people's eyes. So it's not like I can give you anything. I can't show you anything that you don't already know. I'm just giving you permission. I'm clearing it out for you a little bit. You see that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll start talking about it, describing it. And they're like, yeah, there it is. And it's like, it's always been there. I didn't give it to you. I just told you you're allowed to look at it. You're allowed to be excited about that. Did you follow me there? With that?
Yeah.
And that's what, they would call, again, language. It's gonna fuck up the whole experience, but that's what they call a guru. A guru is someone who brings light with them. That's all they do. They're a shedder of light. If you break down the word gu and ru, and I don't know the roots, but someone told me this, that it means like bearer of light. Just someone that, and what does light do? Does light, because the lights are on, did light create this? Did light create that? Did light create you guys? No. Light just illuminated it, brought it to your consciousness. Nobody could give you anything that you don't have already. So
that's the same with psychedelics. It's like it doesn't give you an idea. It just opens what you're.
opens you up.
If you're nothing, there's nothing to blow up. So that's why some people take it. You don't have a lot of experience.
Here's how we evolve consciously, and this is how this game keeps going. That's why I keep saying become the strongest version of yourself and inspire others. If I bring enough light to other people, like them, and they could spread that light to other people, it's a conscious virus. Shedding light. You're shedding light upon the world. This is all biblical stuff too. Shed light. Bring light to the world. Light a candle. Light is a metaphor for consciousness.
Yeah, consciousness is being light.
Open it. Open it in yourself and open it in other people. And that's why, like they say, the forces of good and evil. I don't know if I truly believe that it needs to be described that way as forces of good and evil. But there are two opposing forces that play this game. And some of it you might call darkness, and some of it you might call lightness. But even that is an unfair distinction because it suggests that light is good and dark is bad. But it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
We still want to judge though. Exactly. So I happen to be a bearer of light. This is the thing that I'm doing. The things that I'm talking about is one side of a double-sided coin. And the other side is whatever the other side is. And it's just fine. Call it evil if you'd like, because I'm sure they would call me evil. But you don't have to fight it. We're not fighting, we're dancing. And you know what? The dance sometimes it's a bloody dance. And it has to be felt everywhere. You could call that evil, right? Bloodshed, children all over the world. You could be against it. You could be angry about it. It could happen to you. My brother was there and he died. My uncle was there, my father. It took my leg, this thing, this what we would call ugly thing, war. But a true understander of God, the universe, the Tao, realizes that it's just the opposing force. And it has to happen. And I can judge rightly or wrongly, good or bad, but it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. And we have to experience it. So, of course, this is all going to sound crazy, and I'm projecting World War III between the West and the East, but really it's what we're doing. Yeah. It's the West and the East, yin yang, you see? And the big thing is coming together. And it's supposed to come together. They're supposed to oppose each other. Whatever happens is just what's happening on Earth. It's just... And as eggs are broken, as deconstruction happens, what did I tell you earlier about Jesus? Death, rebirth. Death, rebirth. Death, rebirth. So if we experience a lot of death and destruction, it's only necessary for a rebirth. You have to have this. World War III has to happen. We can judge it one way or another, but rebirth doesn't happen until there's death first. So where does that leave us? What do we do as individuals? Without judgment, do your work. Whatever it is that you feel coming up in you, especially if you can feel it in your body. The head should be your slave. Your body should be your master. If you feel it in your body that I need to do this, then it's your responsibility to do it. And the biggest sin is not trusting that which is happening in you. You're not trusting God. Because guess what? God is doing this thing, is doing it through you, and you can either resist or you can go with it. So we could place judgment on what that action might look like. There are going to be people who are going to judge it, may not look like it. But you still have to do it. And it doesn't matter. We have to sever ourselves from attachment. People love me and they wouldn't want to see me do this. And it could be anything. It could be all types of things. It could sound, I could stand here and it sound like, go kill people or something. It's not really what it is. Sometimes it's the most subtle action in the direction of your dreams that's holding you back. For example, if you're very artistic, you play the piano, but your dad wants you to be a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, your grandfather's a lawyer, stop this piano shit, you got to carry our name, you got to carry our tradition. A revolutionary action, life transformative action for that man is basically saying, no, Dad, I'm playing the piano. And go and play the piano. So it wasn't, Elliot says, do whatever your heart says. Well, I'm going to go and shoot and fuck people. I'm going to go rape. No. It's never that extreme. That's you making up stories about why you're too scared to take action where you really do want to take action. And it usually is something of the heart. So if we all just...
Cop-out.
Yeah, it's a cop-out. If we all simply follow our hearts, we contribute to a less neurotic world. And it's the neurotic world that's keeping you from not following your heart. And the only way, and this is going to sound dualistic, we win is if we just follow our hearts. Easier said than done. But it should be an effort. It should be an effort. You should put your effort into it. It's a worthwhile effort. Because otherwise you stay as a roadblock to evolution. God's happening and you can resist or you can go.